Hello, hipsters, flipsters, finger-popping daddies, and groovy chicks. Welcome to the Jazz Ranch. You know, some people ask me, why do I dress this way? Well, can't help it. I'm just a regular kind of guy, you know. I like to dress this way. I'm a cool cat. What am I going to do? And, you know, the altar-dominant man, he left town again. You know what? Someone wrote in and said he was stupid. And his feelings got hurt, so he's gone back to Newark, New Jersey, you know, so he won't bother us for a while. Anyway, I'm going to be talking about Horace Silver tonight and a couple of his songs I'll be playing for you and talking about his soloing and his band. You know, Horace actually came from, he was in the Hartford area. It's where I live and where I got my start in jazz. And Stan Getz discovered him and his group, and they brought him to New York, and that he eventually got with Art Blakey, and then he formed his own quintet, and it has the signature sound. There's nothing like the Horace Silver Quintet. It has its unique sound. And I got to hear them years ago in Harlem, actually. Went up there, and he was opening up for Ray Charles, and he had that great quintet with Blue Mitchell and Junior Cook. I got to hear that band, and you know, in the middle of Horace's solo, he'd play a funky lick, and the people would start applauding. They applauded about 4 times in his middle of his solo for these licks. It was a great audience. Years later, I heard him again with the Brecker Brothers. He had the Brecker Brothers in his band. That was a fabulous band as well. So he's always been a big influence on me. I love his playing, his soloing. He's a great soloist. You know, as a player, he transitioned from bebop into hard bop in the 50s, and he stressed melody rather than complex harmony. He was much more into melody, and then he combined these clean and often humorous right-hand lines with darker notes and chords in an almost near perpetual left-hand rumble. How about that? You know, he would hit this, you know, he'd hit this rumble in his left hand. It's a unique sound. It was his trademark sound, like Errol Garner or Bill Evans or Ahmad Jamal, Nat King Cole. They all had their trademark sounds. That was one of his. So I'm going to start out with Song for My Father, and then I'm going to be talking about some of his ideas, his concepts, and his soloing. Here we go. Starting out, I'm not an historian, I'm not an expert on Horace Silver, but I want to talk about some of the things that I think are central points about his playing and his sound, his compositions, and his group. First of all, he wrote for a quintet with trumpet and tenor sax and piano, bass, and drums, so that was his trademark, was having that particular sound. And he was a great comper. He loved comping behind horns, and he did it so rhythmically and so distinctively that that was his trademark in a lot of ways. And his solos were amazing, and simple in a certain kind of respect, but also very complicated in other ways, and very listenable and shall we say, memorable. You could remember his solos; they were so distinctive. Now, on Song for My Father, I'm going to show you what he did with it, and it has a lot to do with what he did with the bass line. And when he wrote a bass line, that's the way you played it, and that's the way the bass player played it, and he doubled it with the bass player, and that had to be a certain way, and it never fluctuated. Whatever way he wrote it, it had to be played that way every time, all through the generations of players that he played with. And the same thing with the melody, and I'm going to demonstrate the melody and the bass line for Song for My Father. On Song for My Father, he has this bass line. Now, this song was inspired by his Cape Verdean heritage and the folk songs of that country, and also dedicated to his father. And it sounds like a bossa nova, but it's a little different because of the way the chord progression goes down like this. You have a minor mode, and you have these dominant sevenths, dominant ninths. So it has sort of a bluesy, funky kind of sound as well. And it's very rhythmic, so he has this. Now, he has the melody coming in like this with the horns in unison, trumpet and the sax, tenor sax. And then there's harmony there like that, major seconds, then major seconds, then thirds. Now that's where he puts the chords in. So he doubles the melody with the horns through that section, and then when they go, he puts the chords in, so he's filling in that space. He's not embellishing it with a melody, but he's just putting the chords in there. He's keeping it simple, so it's kind of simple and complex at the same time. It's beautiful that way. And so like he's doubling the melody like this. He puts the chords in there. I think he goes actually then like and so on. Now it gets to the bridge. He's still doubling the melody. And this melody works perfectly in thirds. Same bass line. That last time he goes something like this. He does that kind of thing. Now on the second chorus, he's comping, so he's more like. So it's always comping in a rhythmic manner, and often he starts in the low register, moves into the middle, and then goes up to the top. So he might eventually get to the. So that creates a very strong rhythm, and the piano is always up front in the mix, so you really hear the rhythm. It comes together, and there's no quintet sound that is quite like it. It is extremely unique, extremely. It has great impact in terms of its melodic features, harmonic features, and its rhythm. It's very distinctive. As an addendum, I'm going to show you an actual lick that he plays in his solo. Here's another lick from the bridge. So you see, they're very simple, they're easy to remember. They follow, one line follows the next, and they're very funky and bluesy. I want to include peace in this video because perhaps it's Horace Silver's most well-known ballad, and along with Song for My Father, which is his most well-known composition, these are two gems, you know, and Peace is a beautiful song, and it's great for pianists because you really have to play these rich chords that have upper extensions. You know, so he has these, you know, like A minor 7 flat 5 to D7 with an augmented with a flat 9 and then G minor, then G flat, then C major, C flat major, then C7 sharp 9 to F7 sharp 9. There'll be a lead sheet for you to check this out. But these voicings, you know, you can check them out, slow down the video and check out how I'm playing them. But the song is 10 measures, which is unusual to begin with. It's not your usual 16 measure song or 8 measures. It's an odd number of measures, but it works beautifully. It just sounds perfect. And he's in different tonal centers. The key is B flat. He's in relative minor first, then he's in B flat, then he's going to A major, and then he's down to D flat major, then just moving down a half step, 2-5, altered the tritone substitute into the 1. So holds together beautifully. And his solo, now I try to emulate some of the things, his ideas, not imitate him or play ideas that he played, but play my own ideas, but use the concept of playing like a motive, you know, like an idea or simple phrase, repeating it, transposed perhaps, and then playing something more complex or moving. You know, so there's always something new happening, and it's interesting, and it's easy to listen to and grasp what he's doing, and yet it's more difficult to play than you would expect. You know, like this song is not as easy to solo on as you might expect, but so there's 3 ideas to hold together, then I could go do something different after that. You often would do that, play something very simple, repeat it, transpose, and then again, and then do something more complex. So it's like he's telling you a story that is always growing and developing and having interest. And that's the sign. I think he's one of the great improvisers in jazz. I also wanted to include the kind of lines that he plays in his solo. So it shows you the repetitiveness of the idea, repeating a phrase and extending it through the chord, like here on the C7. It's a diminished chord, arpeggiated in triplets. And then continue on the C flat major there. It continues the line. So it's very interesting, the construction of his lines. Signing off from the Jazz Ranch. Thanks so much for joining me on this video about Horace Silver. Please write to me. I love to hear from you. Please write to me about your experiences. If you've heard Horace Silver, or you've heard him play live, or you have some favorite albums of his, please write to me. Let's talk about Horace Silver. And you know, these legendary players, they make our lives better. So until next time, I will say, in the words of my great friend Hermie Dressel, God rest his merry soul, swing loose. Always swing loose and stay cool. Bye-bye.